Fam, we got to talk about Duskbloods. What is happening with this game? Okay, this is a From Software game from Hidetaka Miyazaki. This is from the guy, the Elden Ring guy, the Dark Souls guy, the Bloodborne guy, the Sekiro guy. Like, this is coming from the guy. Literally everything he touches turns to gold. The game is releasing this year. It's a Switch 2 exclusive. Not coming to PC, not coming to other consoles. I know a lot of people are thinking that it definitely does. I do not think so. I do not think Nintendo spends all that money to make it an exclusive just to give up 6 months later. I think the whole idea was that this game, as with a lot of the other stuff that they're doing on the Switch 2, bringing a ton of more mature games over to Switch 2, they're trying to get an older demographic to come in and buy into the Switch. And it's an amazing console in terms of performance. Like, if you've not seen what Resident Evil 9 looks like on a Switch 2, it will blow your mind. Like, it's ridiculous. And I'm saying that as somebody with a Legion Go 2. I have other handhelds that are also awesome. Bro, the Switch 2 runs it like it's nothing at a lower TDP. Like, it's actually crazy. But this, I think the whole idea was get the exclusive From Software game and people will flock to us and buy it. But they showed a trailer at the Nintendo Direct. Everybody thought that they were gonna like actually reveal something, reveal like unedited gameplay, show what the game even is. The trailer is 1 minute and 1 second long. Most of that is just black screen and titles. And then they say closed network test, specifying that you need Nintendo Online membership, and that's sold separately. So bear in mind, you have to buy the console and the online membership in order to participate in the closed network test, and of course eventually buy the game and play it. It is so thoroughly baffling, this game. It is bizarre. It is absolutely bizarre. I don't understand what's happening with it. And people are talking about it. Like this one, Einrun on Twitter said, I don't know if it's From Software or Nintendo, but the marketing for this game so far has been weird AF. We're supposedly close to release, but barely got anything substantial today other than the closed network test, and it didn't even confirm a date for that. Kind of killing my hype a bit. Got my Switch 2 yesterday, though, God bless. People mentioning how it's alarming there's no gameplay. That's just how From Software is really, even with Elden Ring, their biggest game ever. It got announced, we got nothing for 2 years. They finally showed gameplay, released like 2 other trailers, and it was out. They really don't show anything that much ever, and honestly, I kind of love it. It's all Nintendo because the FSW From Software work with BN, not anymore. BN is Bandai Namco. They don't work with them anymore. They self-publish from now on. They don't leave a year gap between trailers. I think the whole thing is just bizarre. It's just bizarre. And honestly, I've not really seen a lot of discourse or like anything for it. It's been kind of surprising how there's just not a lot of discussion. Like, again, the idea that there is a new trailer for the next Hidetaka Miyazaki game from Software, and in a day it did 214,000. Like, there was more footage on Switch Sports Thumb Wrestling than Duskbloods. That could just be an email. More than a year of waiting and you give us straight crumbs. So what's Duskbloods all about, Nintendo? We don't know either. Man, we need a longer video. 1 year later and we get an even shorter trailer with even less gameplay. Feels bad. All From Software games got to have Maiden. We decided on Winged Rat with cute eyes because that's the Nintendo way. 1 year later and I still know absolutely nothing about this game. At the very least, it seems like the marketing is not doing a great job of explaining anything. What I find more baffling, like, yeah, if they want to be secretive, that's fine. The fact that they reveal a network test and they don't even have a date. What? How do you not have a date? How do you not have a week, a month? How does this make any sense? How does it make, I so thoroughly do not understand this. Now, I've learned my lesson. Never underestimate the power of From Software's fan base and community. I thought Night Rain was not going to do very well. I'm very, very like direct. I was wrong about Night Rain. I did not think it would blow up the way that it did. I did not think it would be as successful as it has been. So I've learned to never underestimate the power of that fandom. But I do think it's fair to bring up the point that this is a different animal. FromSoft fans are like a lot on PlayStation, on PC, of course, some on Xbox. I don't think there's a big community of FromSoft fans on Nintendo, which means that probably the majority of people who will be playing the Duskbloods will have to buy the console to do it. I think if you're going to try to make that's a tough sell. And the fact that we're literally months, because the game is releasing this year. They reiterated that. They've not addressed that. They've not changed that. And they have a network test this summer. It is coming later this year. within months of today, and nobody knows what the hell is happening with it. Like, it's absolutely baffling. It's absolutely baffling. But maybe it ends up blowing up. I mean, with From Software, you just never know. So I've done polls. We've talked about it on stream where I'm like, honestly, how many people are going to spend the money to buy a Switch 2 for this? I don't know. Switch 2 price increase. When does that hit? Remember, the price hike will spike up. I think it's in September, was it? Yeah, starting September 1st, the Switch 2 will cost $500 in the US. At the same time, prices will increase by $50 in Canada, up to $680. Like, it's very, very possible that in September, say this game launches late September. I mean, maybe that's what they're waiting for, is they're waiting for people to do like a full reveal of it until they are past the point. So when people buy new consoles, they buy it at the higher price. Maybe that's what they're doing. That would be slimy, but who knows? But that's like $500 for the console. Let's be real, probably $80 for the game. You got to sign up for an annual membership of the online. You're probably buying a pro controller too, because who wants to play a FromSoft game with Joy-Cons? Like, you're in the realm of spending like $600-700 to get into this. Like, I know people love FromSoft, but like, do you love a FromSoft multiplayer online only game that much? I genuinely don't know, especially with how vague the marketing's been. I just genuinely don't know. But I've also learned to never underestimate FromSoft. So maybe it works. I don't know, man. I really don't, but we'll see. What I do know is that it was bizarre that they were there and only had a minute trailer. I mean, I think they knew they had to be at the Nintendo event. It's like one of the biggest games launching this year. And so they had to have something, and like, that's all they had. I'm kind of shocked by it, but what are you going to do? We're going to find out more. I'm curious. I'm interested. I just don't know. I've played almost every Souls game, but F that. Well, I think a lot of people are just like not into that idea. Yeah, it's just $700 is cheaper than a Steam Deck. True. And but I would argue that if the game was going to launch and was exclusive to the Steam Deck, not just PC, but exclusive to the Steam Deck specifically, that still for a lot of people is a tough sell. Like, $700 for effectively one game for anybody is just a tough sell. Because yes, you can be like, oh, well, you'll get Mario Kart as well. Oh, you can get Donkey Kong Bonanza. You know, you can say that, but I think the vast majority of the people playing Duskbloods would be buying it to play Duskbloods. Like, maybe this is naive of me, but I don't think there's a huge community of like Donkey Kong fans who are itching to play Duskbloods, you know? Maybe I'm wrong. I genuinely don't know, but I just don't see it. But we'll see. We'll find out. I hope to find out more. I hope that the playtest or the network test is public and they don't like NDA it. I hope it's something. It'll probably blast out and leak anyways, so they might as well just make it public, but we'll see. Maybe a timed exclusive Hopium. I would guess if it was a timed exclusive, they would have mentioned it by now. The fact that they've not mentioned it, I think, to me, tells you kind of all you need to know. During the direct, the chat was blowing up about Duskbloods. Well, yeah, it's the one that people probably have the most questions about more than anything. Like, people see Ocarina of Time, they're like, yeah, it's gonna be sweet. Excited for that. Just tell me when, you know, show me gameplay, sure. But I think people are just like generally excited for that. For Duskbloods, the operative emotion, I think, based on what I've seen, is just confusion. Like, people just don't know what it is or what makes it worth it. Like, I don't know. If Duskbloods has Fable level cake, maybe. That's a good question. People love FromSoft. They do. The question is, do they love, like if you're a diehard FromSoft fan, you're probably a fan of like Elden Ring, of Bloodborne, of Sekiro. Like, you're a fan of these games that are mainly single player Souls-like games. This apparently is totally different. It is a multiplayer, always online game that like has elements of like roguelikes, but then also elements of like looter games. Like, I just don't understand. So I don't know, man. You're not going to play Elden Ring on the Switch. Well, you will be able to. I think in August is when it drops. They are finally releasing the port of it. Who knows how well it runs. Apparently it ran so poorly, people forget. This was a video from IGN. IGN made this video. Elden Ring on Switch 2 is a disaster in handheld mode.
you take the throne.
I have just got out of playing Elden Ring Tarnished Edition on the Switch 2, and I have some bad news for those of you hoping for good performance in handheld mode, because the performance is not good.
This world.
They didn't let them film anything for obvious reasons, but this was so poorly received that they basically indefinitely delayed the Elden Ring port on Switch 2. And then just like a week ago, they quietly announced that it's going to launch in, I believe, in August.
On the Switch 2, and where the problems arose. Because the queue behind me is all for Hollow Knight Silksong, no one is actually playing Elden Ring 2 Tarnished Edition on the Switch yet. So we had to start from the very beginning, going through the menus, creating a character. I picked the warrior with the two swords. Iron tutorial bosses, everything started to chug really badly. Spinning the camera around from left to right really showed the frame rate drops. Standing still, it was fine. The pixel count looked great.
Good thing you don't have to move the camera or move at all in Elden Ring.
Actually looks really detailed and really good on the small Switch 2 screen. I gave the game a pause, went into the menus to see if there was a graphics or performance mode that I can choose from. There wasn't. It seemed to be just one standard mode with HDR switched on. So the whole game was in HDR. Again, looks lovely lighting wise. It was just any type of camera movement, it began to chug. And this, yeah,
that's not great. That's not great. So I hope that the port, now that it's been delayed basically a year, they fixed it. That's my hope. It's my desire, dare I say. But they need to be transparent about it. But the reason why I bring this up right now is that they're using the same engine. So they have their engine that they use to build all these games together. If they were having that much trouble porting Elden Ring over to the Switch 2, like I'm curious about like this big online game, I'm really curious about that. That would worry me. That would worry me, especially if they're not showing gameplay, if they're being really, really quiet and like vague about stuff. It doesn't look great. But like I said, never underestimate FromSoft fans. Like, they will show up. It's just, will they show up if they have to spend $700 to do so? It's one thing to show up spending whatever Night Rain was, 30, 40 bucks. That's one thing. 30, 40 bucks. People can do that. Asking them to show up and spend 700 or 600, like that's rough. That's a tough sell. So it's going to be fascinating to see. It's the one that I'm most, like, people ask all the time, what are you most excited about? What are you most curious about? There's a bunch of different games for each of those categories. The game I'm most curious about is Duskbloods, because I just genuinely have no idea. Either it'll launch and nobody will give a crap and it'll be a colossal disaster for Nintendo that spent a ton of money, and it'll be the first From Software game in a long time that people just have kind of shrugged off and don't really care about. Or it'll be so massive that it becomes like a Switch 2 system seller, 10 out of 10 perfect scores across the board. It's like, move aside Destiny. We got a new live service game in town that everybody loves. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know. But I'm so curious. I want to know. Delay incoming. That actually would not surprise me if they delayed it, but time will tell.
He took my thing.